There you have it. So the Empire Strikes Back, Unscripted, is back with Dave Phillip Real Estate. Very nice, very nice.
I will add that I am Luke's father.
Yeah, there you go. I knew you'd appreciate that one. I saw you said you wanted to come bring the show back to life, and I was very excited. And of course, that legendary Star Wars, thing. I was thinking, well, how are we going to write this up? And I said, well, the show's unscripted, so there's really nothing to write. So I thought we would enjoy that one.
Yeah, I like the insert topic.
Yeah, that
is very us.
That's all I could come up with. So well, welcome back, and thank you for bringing me along. I appreciate that, and I'm excited to see what the topic is, because it's all unscripted.
A bit of a market update, and while we're not unscripted, we are not without data. And what we're seeing right now is a very interesting thing. And if you are a seller or an agent working with sellers, you really need to know what I'm about to share. So without further ado, let's see if we can share the rudimentary little slides that we put up here. And here we are. Very cute. That's my little thing there. So what we're talking about, what we're looking at, is days on market as an indicator of where the shift is going. Okay. So days on market in our market around here is very simply put the number of days a listing is active before contracts are fully executed. And here's a little spoiler alert for those who are not in the New York area, the market that we're in. 99% of the rest of the world, agents write contracts up. The offer actually becomes the contract within a day. So when I was working up in Rochester, for example, we would submit an offer, and when the seller accepted the offer, they signed the very same piece of paper, and that was the contract. And given that New York is what we call an attorney state, the attorneys would, kind of ratify or approve the contract. Same in New Jersey, but most of the rest of the world, agents write up the contracts. Here, you can have an agreement in principle. You can have a meeting of the minds and not be under contract for another week or two, because in the rest of the world, the inspection is done prior to contracts, and the attorneys could be going back and forth for days over contract verbiage. So if something around here is 20 days on market, it may have had an accepted offer 12 days earlier. You may have had a meeting of the minds 8 days prior, something like that. Since we're all on a level playing field, the numbers account, but I'll show you what I mean. So here's the data that we are looking at that lets us know that we are in the midst of a shift as it happens. And, the markets are, I'm going to do a couple of different markets here. First, my own backyard, Ossining, New York. So this is one key MLS data on Ossining schools. So here's an interesting thing. Right now, there are 36 single-family homes pending sale. In other words, under contract in Ossining schools. 22 days on market is the median number of days on market. Mm-hmm. And if we were to go back and look at the closed sales in the second quarter, which was April 1st through June 30th, the median days on market is 14 days. So you can see, even a quarter ago, it was a little faster than what is currently pending. But here's the real eye-opener. Active listings right now have a median time on market at 34 days on market. That is more than 2.5 times, or just about 2.5 times the length of time that sales were in the second quarter. Now, since all 34 of these active listings probably will not go pending tonight, that tells us that that number is probably going to grow. That number is probably going to grow. Now, this is not just an Ossining thing. I was curious. Is it, maybe Ossining's a little bit of an anomaly. All right. So what I then did was I looked at other places. So going up to Putnam in Mahopac, Mahopac schools, there are currently 59 single-family homes under contract, pending, with a median days on market of 24 days on market. Those that sold the prior quarter, 21 days on market. Not a big shift, right. Kind of within the realm of what do they call margin for error, right? However, current active listings are at 32 days on market. That is a 50% increase in median days on market from what sold second quarter to what is currently active. And again, all of those 58 homes are probably not going to go pending tonight.
Right.
Which means that number is probably going to increase. Now, if you are of a mindset that, okay, that's kind of up and north of 287, what about southern Westchester? What if you get to a closer commuting point? So I'll tell you what. Let's look at Scarsdale. Let's look at the probably wealthiest, most affluent, most sought after, fanciest market that I could come up with. All right. Scarsdale has right now 95 properties pending with median days on market at 17. They're selling pretty quickly in Scarsdale, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the second quarter, they were selling like, what did we just talk about, Tim? It usually takes a week or two for a property to go under contract, right?
Right.
So in the second quarter, properties were selling in like one day. Because remember, there's a little bit of a lag between a meeting of the minds, inspection, contracts, and fully executed, pending, all parties have signed contracts, deposits made, and everything like that. So they were selling like day one, day three. And they were waiving inspections and going to contract in lightning speed.
Highest and best out of the
highest and best for everything. You'd list it at 9 a.m., go to highest and best by 5 p.m. It was nuts. So let's look at where the active listings are in Scarsdale. There are 64 listings, 59 days on market on average. And again, all 64 of those listings are probably not going to have fully executed contracts by close of business today, and that number is probably going to grow.
Right.
So
I'd say that hit a wall.
Yeah, I mean, all good things must come to an end if you're a seller. Now, this is there's some takeaways here, and I'll get into those real quick. But this is good news if you're a buyer. If you are a purchaser and you have been thwarted and frustrated and you've been shut out with all of these bidding wars and everything like that, the good news for you is that your leverage is improving. Your chances are improving because you're not going to have the same competition. A lot of that is due to the interest rates rising and the pool of available qualified buyers dissipating and being reduced by buying power eroding through higher interest rates. It is because of the talk of recession and a little bit of a decline in consumer confidence. I would say that we still have very, very healthy consumer confidence, but I just don't think we're in a cartoonish mass hysteria, I've got to buy it today or it's going to be gone tomorrow kind of mentality. I think that it's returning to more like of a balanced situation. And I think the other thing is that there's a little bit of fatigue. Mm-hmm. I think after about 18 months of insanity, the buyers as a whole have put the brakes on overall and just been like, enough. There's a little bit of overall fatigue from buyers that just, they don't want to participate in another day, another bidding war. There's just fatigue. So what are the takeaways here? All right. Oh, I see we have, we did the same slide. All right. We just did that. So let's get through that. I duplicated that slide. Okay. So here are the takeaways. first of all, the market is cooling off. I just spoke to that a moment ago. It could be interest rates. It could be buyer fatigue. It could be the discussion of recession and a slight cooling off of consumer confidence. We are going into a place where we are once again going to be in a little bit more of a beauty contest and a little bit more of a pricing war. Now, you and I remember when the market was cratered, right? 2008, 2009. Somebody had mentioned to me, and I laughed in a meeting earlier today, didn't you grow your company through the Great Recession? And I laughed because I remember it was so bad that we would get to closings thinking, I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage.
Right.
And then, we'd be told the bank had failed.
Right.
The buyer didn't back out. The seller didn't reconsider. The bank went out of business. That was like the biggest black swan kind of crazy out of left field stuff, and it happened more than once. Now, in many respects, that, those closings eventually would happen because people would switch banks, it would get sorted out in many respects. But wow, to be in, the 21st century and only hear about bank failures like from a Frank Capra black and white movie. Is Jimmy Stewart going to walk in as Mr. Who's the guy? Who's the bad guy in It's a Wonderful Life? Mr. Howell,
Mr. Potter.
Yeah, Mr. Potter, right? So we are going to go back to where you better stage your house, you better have professional photography, you better make sure that you're priced right. That is going to become a very big factor here, and pricing is now perhaps the most crucial thing outside of things like staging and prep work and good imaging and everything like that. Pricing is now crucial. And a little bit sadly, in some ways, and we can probably kind of stop the share of this and go back to our mugs. A little bit sadly is that the idea, in my experience, is that the people who are last to get the memo that the market has changed is the sellers. They're the last to get the memo. And as a collective, they almost have to like go through the stages of grief, right? It starts out with denial and then anger and then, bargaining, which is where we want them to be. We want them to be bargaining. We want them to be negotiating, right? So we've seen this show before. I'll add an enormous asterisk, like a big 1961 asterisk to this. The market's not crashing. It's simply shifting. It's cooling off. The crazy insanity, cartoonish rodeo is over, but we're going back to a more balanced market. We're not heading into a great recession. We're not heading into an enormous systemic financial failure where people couldn't get mortgages. We're not going to have a crash. We're going to have a leveling off. Right. Will be some downward blips here and there. Sure. That's how it looks. That's how business goes. But overall, if you take the, kind of dollar cost averaging principle, it'll be a slight incline, not a bubble, not a spike, but a slight incline the way real estate has always been. It's just sort of a steady improvement of values. Okay. So that's a big asterisk. We're not going into a crash. We're simply going into a shift. And the thing that sellers need to understand is that the buyers get this first. You start seeing it now with the lowball offer, which we are starting to see. You're starting to see it now with multiple offers, but no one goes over asking, or no one is waiving contingencies like inspections anymore.
Right.
Okay. The sellers are the last to truly make the decisive pivot. we are still talking to sellers who are expecting almost like a 10% a year. Well, our neighbor sold for 500 last year, so we're worth 700. No, that's really not how it happens. If your neighbor sold for 700 last year, you're not worth 800. You may be worth 700. Right. Depending on how all things being equal, you might be worth 695. It depends on more factors here. Are you going to deny showings? Are you going to clean the litter box? Are you going to, denying showings and declining showings is just suicide.
Yeah.
If you're a seller, but you're not going to have this conga line of people coming through your home the first 72 hours and selling the first weekend. You might sell in 30 days. You might sell in 3 weeks. It's not going to happen the first weekend all the time the way it was before. I can't share my screen, but we had a listing in Putnam County, and I shared this with some of my agents earlier. I have a listing. It was expired at 175 and 199, and it didn't have a certificate of occupancy, and then COVID hit, and he had it rented out, and then he put it on the market last year, and he raised the price to 250. 5 or 199. Didn't sell, expired, unsold.
Right.
He's not giving a certificate of occupancy, and he raised his price $75,000, and it sold.
Wow.
That was a nuts phenomenon I've never seen in my life. I hope I never see it again, because the volatility is harder to manage. But that's gone. That's over. So if you are a seller or working with sellers, the takeaway here is we are back to normal. Not new normal, not sad normal, not Great Recession normal. Just back to 2015, 16, 17 normal, where if it's priced right, it sells, and if it's overpriced, it's not going to sell. If it's staged and tidy and you accept all showings, you have a better shot than if it's a mess and it's not tidy and you decline showings and you forget to clean the litter box. So, word to the wise, we are in a shift. The sky isn't falling. All we need to do is adapt. And as an industry, it is our job to educate the consumer. And blanket statements like, it's a great time to buy, great time to sell, blah, 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 wonderful investment. These are all not things those are not wells to draw from. I guess the last question we get is, well, did I miss an opportunity? Am I, how am I going to time selling? Should I sell? Answer is very simple. If buying or selling suits the needs of your lifestyle, maybe because you've got a growing family or an empty nester, or you've got a bonus coming and you'd like to make a down payment, then you should do it. If you're going to try and time things as if real estate is solely a financial instrument, exclusive of the needs of your shelter requirements, then you're looking at it all wrong. Like insurance in many respects, real estate behaves like an investment, but it's not only an investment. Real estate is shelter. And comparing real estate to any other investment is foolish, because you can't live in your 401k. Very drafty.
Right.
Very drafty in there. And that is what people need to know. We're at the 20-minute mark here. I think we've got the message across. The market is shifting. Yep. We see it in real time with days on market. The sky's not falling, but it doesn't mean you don't have an umbrella.
I just, if I could add a quick story about a customer that I had.
Go for it.
Actually decades ago now. But, I sold him his first house. And then as the market was moving up, and it was right before 6, 7, 8, so things were getting hot, but his family was growing, exactly like you said. And So I sold his first house for him, and he got into his second house. And 6 months later, he's like, "Oh, did I pay too much? Did I not get enough?" Because the price of his other house, he was like, "I could have gotten more for that." And I was like, "And then you would have paid more for the house you just bought." I was
Exactly.
like, "You cannot buy or sell and buy at the same time and make more on the house you're selling and then pay less on the house you're buying, because the market is relative to all things. So you can't buy low and sell high at the same time. So
Exactly.
if you're selling at the top of the market and buying something else to live in, whether it's bigger or smaller, you're also buying at that point in the market. So there is no buy low, sell high in the real estate game. If you have to get in because you're getting married and starting a life, then that's when you have to get in. If you, right. If you have to move up, then you have to move up, and you just are in that market.
Timeless point.
So you can't,
timeless point.
You can't do that. So that was the things we share. But I just think that so many people like, oh, is it a seller's market or a buyer's market? I think there's a huge piece of the middle that it's a broker's market. You need a broker. You need someone that knows the market better than anyone else. And that's what is important, because we all know, I know from your previous shows, you said, oh, the market's so crazy, a monkey could do it. I don't want to say that's true, because there's so many complex situations there, but that's the way everybody felt. Like, oh, I'm just going to put
it was a perception.
50. Yeah. That's what they said. Oh, I'm just going to put it on for 50,000 more than my neighbor sold, and it's going to sell in a day. And it probably did, but there were so many factors in between that you had to make sure were going to happen. Verifying everyone's all cash bids and things like that, which was just insane. But now we're strongly safely in a broker's market, where you need someone who knows the market, who's going to tell you and set your expectations for what's going to happen. And so it's very important to reach out to someone on the J. Phillip team, or come back to Unscripted and ask the questions right here. That'd be the good part.
I like the plug. I will say this is a sort of a parting shot. The and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but with the enormous amount of money changing hands, this is not the place to make the largest transaction of most people's lives. As a matter of fact, a do-it-yourself project. You need guidance. And to those agents out there that have been in the industry maybe 3 or 4 years or less, listen to the ones in your brand, outside of your brand, in the industry, who've been through the other market cycles, because they have pearls of wisdom that will assist you in making this shift in how you approach your own clientele, because there's a lot of money at stake, and real estate mistakes are very, very expensive. That's for sure. So, Timothy, thank you.
I just want to make a couple of producer announcements here. Please like and share and subscribe. This is being broadcast on Facebook, on Twitter. It'll be on YouTube as well. This is your favorite address for the business, 522 North State Road. Is that correct, Phil?
Last I checked, yeah.
Yeah. And then here's your fancy phone number in case anybody needs to reach out.
There's a brazen self-promotion here, isn't it?
Wow. Well, it's unscripted. I figured I'd throw this stuff out at you.
Okay. All right.
But, and I mentioned before that it's on Twitter. So look up RE Unscripted. You can watch this there live as well. And of course, you're on Facebook. So just so that everybody knows where to find you. And then, of course, the branded YouTube link will come after we get 100 subscribers. So please ask your friends to like, share, and subscribe, because we want to get this information out to everybody, right?
Let's do that.
There you have it. Well, thank you very much for relaunching Unscripted. I'm looking forward to future guests and conversations that you have, and hopefully we can, get this out to the people that need it.
We've put the band back together.
I love it. Very good. All right, so back to the Star Wars. We're going to send it out with that. I'll see you next week, and thank you very much.